biosecurity, I think we're kind of going into a little bit of a flu season, which it's late October, early November in Iowa, so you're going to have a little bit of that. But it always starts off like I always say, the basics. Keep things clean. You can't disinfect dirt. You know what I mean? So always keep things clean, and that starts with a good quality wash crew, and just going through it, and always having a third party inspect it. You know what I mean? If not yourself, just make sure somebody's checking to make sure that all the organic materials cleaned, and the cup waters and the feeders and all that stuff. And then, always using a quality disinfectant, you know what I mean? That's just the basics. So, but there's been a lot of people adding a lot of things to biosecurity though. So.
Welcome to the Swine Health Blackbelt Podcast, the latest swine health research digested for you. My name's Dr. Clayton Johnson. I'm the host of the podcast, and joining me this week is Aaron Juergens with Juergens Incorporated. Aaron, welcome to the podcast. You're coming back for round two here, but just in case somebody didn't catch the first one or it's been a while, maybe give the audience a brief introduction.
Yeah, definitely. I'm Aaron Juergens. I'm from Carroll, Iowa. That's in the west central part of Iowa. My family's been in agricultural since the late 40s here, so I've been a lifelong resident of Western Iowa, and my family's been heavily involved in agriculture and the cattle, feed, hog side now for me, and I'm a member on the Iowa Pork Board, so I kind of get involved in a lot of the top-down, bottom-up discussions from all around. So, but today we're going to be going over some biosecurity. So,
a full value relationship starts with understanding your business. And Elanco knows growing the healthiest pig requires focus on every segment of production. Through continuous innovation, trusted solutions, and actionable insights, Elanco is invested in helping you achieve the full value of every decision. Their portfolio offers solutions that manage disease challenges, minimize variation, and mitigate mortality to optimize pig health. Get full value from start to finish with Elanco.
Yeah, you get to see the biosecurity from a lot of different angles, Aaron. I think it's very timely right now with going into disease season to talk about what you're seeing new and different out there for biosecurity. So what's the world look like for biosecurity right now in Western Iowa?
Well, for biosecurity, I think, we're kind of going into a little bit of a flu season, which it's, late October, early November in Iowa. So you're going to have a little bit of that. But, it always starts off like I always say, the basics. Keep things clean. You can't disinfect dirt. You know what I mean? So always keep things clean, and that starts with a good quality wash crew, and just going through it, and always having a third party inspect it. You know what I mean? If not yourself, just make sure somebody's checking to make sure that all the organic materials cleaned, and the cup waters and the feeders and all that stuff, and then always using a quality disinfectant. You know what I mean? That's just the basics. So, but there's been a lot of people adding a lot of things to biosecurity though. So
you find, Aaron, that people are adding things because of a specific disease challenge with the last turn of pigs, or just in general trying to get better at biosecurity?
I think it's just general biosecurity. You're looking at a lot of these integrators moving forward. They're changing the building designs. They're wanting connecting hallways. Making sure things are all enclosed. So that way, the rodents picking up stuff outside. You're seeing a lot of the barns that were separated. We had to walk outside. They're pushing people to connect those hallways. And even new barns, it'd be hard pressed to see where they want to build something where it's not connected by hallways and chutes and separate out where you don't have cross contamination with traffic. So just in building designs from all the way up is changing. You know what I mean? So that's been the biggest push recently. So which I think is a great change. You know what I mean? So
sounds like maybe they're taking kind of the same practices we've put in sow farms for a while in terms of building design and trying to put those into wean to finish. Is that a fair analogy?
Yep, and even nurseries. You know what I mean? So it's like, and then then they're changing. I see companies changing procedures, even just how things are handled. You know what I mean? So just like, a lot of people have had these practices in place. It's just making sure they're getting followed, but just site specific boots, barn specific boots. When you're traveling from barn to barn, using a specific boot. And then definitely, procedures, everybody's redesigning procedures to handle mortality, how it's done, how it's documented, how it's logged, just bringing things to the dead box and, how it's done with what coveralls, what boots, and it's always surprising when people start talking about how everybody does things a little bit differently, right, wrong, or indifferent, but there's a specific way that needs to be done, documented and trained to make sure things are being followed through properly. And that's just basic everyday stuff. And that doesn't matter whether it's June, July, or January, February. So it's just a proper procedure that needs to take place. So.
Are you seeing the adjustments in facility design on remodels? Maybe people are kind of getting to the end of their contract and they're having to make some facility adjustments to existing assets. Or are you seeing that more as just a trend on the new construction? What little bit there is out there?
It's going to be in part of the contracts where if guys ain't willing to make the facility upgrades, they're going to more of a turn by turn type basis, or just as things go, that grower might find himself having to find a different producer if the upgrades ain't made. And it's things that, it's all stuff that makes sense. I think you'd have to argue about it, just enclosed chutes, connecting hallways, making sure, bird netting's all the way around everything and everything's tight and secure. And a lot of this push is even coming from, you don't even want to say these words, but some like a foreign animal disease would get in, like those are the sites that you're going to want to have to manage around, because it's like, you get in, you shower in, you're there all day. There's no animal tracking in and out. You're not crossing paths with traffic or anything. So that way there's sites, everything's put together already for plans like that. So it's just that way, if, a worst case scenario happens, if you're planning for the worst case scenario, the easier problems should fall into place a lot better. So if you're planning for the worst, the easier stuff, the non-foreign animal diseases, they should be, nothing's easy, but they should be a lot better to take care of. So,
yeah, there's value in the biosecurity today with today's diseases. And there's even more value if and when we ever have to deal with a different disease than we have.
Right.
And it's hard to not look at history and say that there's going to be new diseases. There's going to be other infectious agents, whether it's mutation of bugs, emerging diseases, so to say, or a novel introduction of something that exists somewhere else, but we don't have it today. So there's value both ways. And in my experience, once people get used to having a connecting hallway, get used to having a covered loadout, man, it makes life so much better. I can think about the same thing as a kid. The first time I got a shower in and out of a farm, I thought it was really goofy, going to it and doing it the first time. But when you jump in your personal vehicle and you're clean, and it's something that's easy to get used to once it's in place.
Oh yeah, and it's great just to have it done too. Then you can wear decent clothes to the farm, and your car's clean, and you're not dragging stuff from site to site, and it's just the way to go. It's nice to start off with a shower too and get things cleaned up, ready to go. So, and as you say, I think another thing that we're seeing too is just the way supplies are all handled. When I worked at the sow farm, they had the bio chambers and this and that, where even bringing supplies in the farm step by step and making sure things are sat, everything's commingled on that UPS truck bouncing around. You don't know where everybody's driving to, just sit outside your door and, it's bringing things in, disinfecting them, having downtime, proper placement of procedures of getting your inputs into the farm properly. It'd be really devastating to bring one thing in and cause some type of, virus outbreak that didn't have to happen just because you didn't spend time doing the proper procedures, onboarding things into the farm.
In my experience, Aaron, biosecurity is tough because we don't ever get positive reinforcement. Like you're talking about that UPS box that's there sitting on the front step of the office when you get there, right? Like, yep, we know that there's steps that we should take to disinfect those supplies before they come in. And they may be a little variable farm to farm, but the reality is it takes time, takes effort. And if that box is sitting there in January, sometimes that's not a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
If nothing else, it's additional time that you're going to spend not time with the pigs or not time at home with family, all that stuff. And we never know when that box was contaminated with PED or when that box was contaminated with PRRS, right? So we never know the day that we took a step that saved us a lot of money, saved us a lot of time for having to take care of sick pigs. So I'm rambling, but that's always a frustrating one for me is how do you demonstrate to people the value in what they're doing? Because we get the negative reinforcement of this sucks to comply with sometimes, but we don't get that positive reinforcement of knowing when we really were the hero that day.
Yeah, it's not a black and white. There's no, oh my God, I saved the day today because I did one specific action. You'll never know. You will never know. You know what I mean? So if your pigs don't get sick, you'll know. But there's multiple different ways pigs can get sick. Whether it's the box, whether something blew in, whether the pigs had some underlying virus, vaccine that didn't hold. There's so many pieces of the puzzle. But at the end of the day, every part of the pie needs to be held accountable. You know what I mean? So whether it's the vaccine givers, supply briggers, the proper caretaking, the showering in and out, making sure the bird netting's correctly, making sure the hallways are connected, making sure the truck's clean before he backs up. I mean, there's literally, we could probably come up with 100 different things that have to go right to get one thing right. You know what I mean? And that is frustrating. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you know what I mean? If you do have a hog barn and you do have it on contract and you do want to maintain your contract and you do want to be better than your peers, these are the things you're going to do. And it's just the way it's going to be.
Salmonella presents significant challenges to pig health and performance and poses food safety risks to humans. As the first and only vaccine offering live attenuated strains of both Salmonella cholerae and Typhimurium, Enterosol Salmonella TC from Boehringer Ingelheim protects pigs against both serotypes with a single oral dose. Talk to your Boehringer Ingelheim representative to learn more.
Very well said, Aaron. It's an excellent capstone to our podcast. Really appreciate you coming on and sharing this update on what you're seeing in your area.
Perfectly. Hey, thanks for everything. So hopefully we talk sooner than later. So
yeah, we'll have to do it again. We'll get you on for round 3. Thanks for coming on again, Aaron.
Not a problem.
To the audience, thank you very much for listening in to the Swine Health Blackbelt Podcast. Please check us out at swinehealthblackbelt.com and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out on our next episode. For Aaron Juergens, I'm Clayton Johnson. Thanks for joining us and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.